Good evening, chat. Hello. And yes, I was Swiffering, but as you can see, Le Swiffer is gone. So, no, not really any more Swiffering, but nice try. You tried. And that's what matters most in life. You tried. And, suffer, Shaw. That's not happening tonight. No, it's more like suffer chat. There's no suffering tonight for the fat man. That said, though, a bologna sandwich, believe it or not, today is National Bologna Day, 2.0 told me. So that would be very apt. That'd be very appropriate. That'd be very, very appropriate today. So as much as you guys want to go on about stuff, well, why is it doing that? Hold on. We need to get back over here. There we go. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, chat, there we go. Is Kilmar finally going? We're gonna get to a couple different things tonight. Yes, but chat, we are I thought about what we were going to do. I thought about a train stream. I thought about a couple different things. Thought about some models, and I'm like, no, we need to do this. There's some base shit that came out today, and I think it's worth talking about. Yes, as EDUW Raptor says, Buenos dias, pendejo. You don't know I don't speak Mexican. I could say pendejo. My Espanol, I know a little bit. But yes, we are going to cover what's going on with Kilmar. Letitia James is fighting her case. And now, for some reason, Antifa is fighting the Coast Guard. They're out there screaming at these Coast Guard dudes, and it's like, calling them Nazis. And I'm like, the fucking Coast Guard. Why are we having problems with it? Woo! That was rough. Chat can't speak in foreign tongues. No, they can't. But Johan says, Whale Wars! Oh. Demon's Wrath, you just missed it. Yes, today is National Bologna Day. Yeah, I know, but I was like, I don't really want bologna today, so we had leftovers for dinner. I had made a nice little, beef and like a little noodle dish, like casserole kind of thingy. So we had that, and it was good. It was very good. Did not feel like a bologna. Maybe I'll do one tomorrow morning for breakfast. I'll do like a bologna and egg sandwich. I'm very roundy today. Well, what days am I not roundy? So we've learned that real quick, guys, I know some people were wondering. Apparently, the HRO hearing for Nick and Aaron and Patrick Melton is still fucking going, which I am completely baffled. How a fucking protection order hearing, we're now going into like the third day of evidence on one part of it. I just don't know. I don't get it. I don't really get how they can do this. They really want the judge to know how much goo they ate from each other and how much gay sex they've had with each other, I guess. A lot of it was behind closed doors. Apparently Nick drove the Mustang there. He still has the LAPO plates. He apparently borrowed Kayla's pants to go to the hearing. And yeah, that's kind of it. That's all we know so far. Also, apparently, Patrick Melton was retarded enough to acknowledge that he was speaking to Nick, which, speaking to witnesses that, and all that you're embargoed through or how that's going to work. At your fucking hearing, that you've been cooperating with people. Apparently that had happened, so that was kind of retarded from them. But hey, whatever. So is the judge trying to make the gay lovers make up? I think he was trying to force a settlement because it's easier if you guys both agree to like a mutual consent. We both agree to be bound by an HRO. Then just don't have to worry about it. This is probably some of the gayest shit he's had to do in his entire career. And Kia Patrick says the restraining order is more entertaining than Kieran Reed. I think right now, yes. I think right now we're getting there. So, no, it wasn't a stroganoff because it was just made with a cream mushroom soup and a nice little bit of little sour cream there to kind of just Nice little light thing. It's not super. It's not like It's just it's good. It's nice and savory. It's robust. Nice and warm and sticks to your ribs. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Especially on a cold night. Especially on a cold night tonight. So, got some super chats here to take care of. Whiskey 77 for $5 says, had to be on the rewatch cruise, so I found out you're late. So I found out late you are a healer. Yes. The good Lord has got you to put your hands out. Yes, so here you are, Sean, in Lay Your Hands Upon 2.0, and she shall be healed. Well, thank you. Whiskey 77 for 20 subs. Yes. Yes, chat, you too. If we get to 100 subs, I can heal 2.0 with that power, with your energy. God has given me that power, but I need your essence like a psyker. You need to sacrifice some memberships before me to get my power level up so I can heal 2.0 once and for all. She's doing a lot better today, guys. I know some of you are wondering how she's doing. She's through, I think she's kind of like on the down. She's rounding like third on whatever it was she was dealing with. So she'll probably be good to go, by Monday, 100%. So, but yes, for 100 subs, I can heal the woman that I love so dearly. God wants it to happen. God wants it to happen. If you don't, that means you don't want her to get better. Do you really want her to know that? Because she'll go through here. I know in the meantime she likes watching all the Kino Casino songs, and that's her like guilty pleasure. But in the meantime, she's going to come back through and see, God's going to check who supported 2.0, who supported Sean. Are you going to be on that list? Are you going to hope I go explain to God, listen, God, it's not what you think. These people are good people. Don't send them to hell, Lord. I don't know. If that's what you want, that's what you want. Malcolm Combs says, it do be like that, Mr. Garcia. Yes. And that is, yes, it do be like that, Mrs. Stancil. God, that is so fucking hilarious, that meme that's come out. If you guys don't understand it, Will Stancil is, I didn't realize he was an attorney, but he's some progressive liberal commie dumb fuck in Minnesota. Once again, in Minnesota, it's like clockwork. And he's a major online activist, and, he's like a white savior to the black folk. And somebody out there has started trolling him by making a cartoon about him. And it's his imaginary black friend who tells him he's always doing the right thing. And the guy says, it do be like that, Mrs. Stancil. If you guys have seen that on Twitter, I've been posting it too. It do be like that, Mrs. Stancil. And it's been getting memed the fuck out of through AI, including some very, very hilarious things. You're like, this is probably the best one. Justice Thomas. This is the best. I don't know how you could beat it.
It do be that way, Mr. Stancil. It sure do. It do be that way, Mr. Stancil. It sure do.
Yes. Anything goes for member for 6 months, says for the shock collar for 2.0. Well, thank you for your support. Yes, I guess that's one way to keep her in line. Shock collars. Oh, Charlie says, take this tide to heal your wife, brother Sean. Your wife, brother. That you need a comma there because it's like sounds like there's some sort of weird like cousin uncle thing going on there. Hopefully DSP discovers this ministerial grift. Oh my God, that would be awful if he thought he was endowed by God to do something. Yes, he's the Stancil cartoon AI is the future we need. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If you guys know what you're talking about, go on Twitter and you Google the Will Stancil show. And somebody literally sat there and made an AI cartoon show about this guy. And it's fucking hilarious. It's extremely racist, but it's extremely, it's perfect. It's perfect. Buy her a HEPA filter. Maybe I do, but I think she got the cold. She got the cold. Let me see. What else is there? Right Pathway. How you doing, man? Says, so Big Tish lied that Trump overvalued Mar-a-Lago and that case was thrown out on appeal. Not all of it. Not all the Trump case was thrown out on appeal. Not all of it. The $500 million, fine. That was tossed out. Meanwhile, Letitia James committed mortgage fraud throughout 43 years on 13 different properties. Yes, that part's correct, but the first part is not. Trump's case is still going. It's going to go up to the New York Court of Appeals, which is the New York Supreme Court. Yes, 2.0 does not celebrate Diwali. Yes, she does not. Am I selling the healing waters? Yes, I will be. Yes. Let's see here. Anna says, a country will finally take that human trafficking, woman being piece of shit. Well, we're going to get to that. Snarf Magoo says, dish show him good. Yes. Angela, hello. Torgo the White says, please repost that Clarence Thomas Stancil so I can save it. All right, hold on. I'll put it up here somewhere. Give me a second. Let me find it, and I'll put it. I'll retweet it for you. There we go. Okay, here we go, chat. It is up. I put it up there. Now you can retweet it, Torgo. You can save it now. Okay. It's time to get going now. Let's see here. Wife, brother, what part of Ohio is you in, Sean? Yeah, that's why. I'm just reading the way the thing was set up. Okay, let's see here. Luke says, you going to cover the James motion for the gag order I sent you? Hold on here. Let me see. Yes. That is also one of the things I have here. Yes. Yes, I do. Sorry, I was like, the gag. I'm like, oh, yes. Yeah, well, we are going to cover that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So let's get started with the, and really just want to make sure I got it. I want to make sure I gave it proper, just Whiskey 77 for 20 subs. Let's fucking go tonight, chat. Let's go. Can we get more subs in the casino? Fuck those Canadian hosers. They ain't got shit on us in America, chat. They take our Freebird and use it. They skinwalk our culture. Are you going to let them do that to you? I ain't going to let them do that to you. Just think about it right now at this point. The fucking World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays are in the World Series. The goddamn Canadians are in our World Series in the Fall Classic. Inexcusable. Inexcusable. I mean, those fucking these fucking Canadians, they celebrate Thanksgiving in the middle of October. The fuck does that? What is there to be thankful about in Canada? That there's a million Indians? Is that what they're thankful for? The Jays are America's team. No, they are not. Just, I can't say Jeet anymore. Yes. It's Cucksgiving in Canada. Yes. The World Series. Stacey says, we got a million Indians too. We're working on it, Stacey. Tim says they have a king. I know. They have a king. They have a king who got cucked by Princess Diana. So. Just saying, chat. Do you want those Canadians to win tonight? No, you don't. There's only one option. There's only one option for those Canadians. So do what you got to do. But let's get going. If the Blue Jays win, we annex Toronto. I guarantee you if that was going to happen, PPP and Worski would be like waving at the American soldiers like, look, there they are, shoot them all for us. They'd be pathfinders. All right, guys. All right, let's get started, though. Let's get started. Yes. Toronto. Spuggins is mate. Diana was cuck-queened by Camilla. No, Charles got cucked. That's why, fucking Harry doesn't look like... Harry looks like Hugh Hewitt, or whatever his name is. Just like Chelsea Clinton looks like that one dude in Arkansas, something Webb. Yeah. Oh, all right, but let's keep going, chat. If you guys don't want, fine. If you want them to win, you want those fucking Canadians to win, win our World Series, play our Leonard Skinner. I guess you're gonna let them. How you guys? I guess we're not worth fighting for. I guess it's not worth fighting for, chat. That's it. Turn out the lights. America's done. Get out the fucking tarps. Bulldoze this bitch. Let's go home. Good night, chat. Oh. All right, let's get started here. So, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, chat. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Remember, the brave Maryland man, which he did. He did get sent to El Salvador illegally. And they had to bring him back to have his thing, to have his hearing. I still think that should have been done. And eventually he did get brought back. Remember, he also got brought back on charges of human smuggling. And then he opened up his court case out in Maryland. Well, we've tried to deport him to a bunch of different places at this point. And we have an update. If you guys don't remember Kilmar Abrego Garcia, I think... Well, this is him. Remember, he came out and he's like, oh, no, I don't speak English. It's like, but you've lived here for a long time. Oh, well, yeah. I'm having a Ralph Mail stream. No, I'm having a pro-America stream. America first and always. Yes, Webb Hubble. That's the guy Hillary Clinton fucked. There we go. But as we were dealing with this, Kilmar needed his hearing before he could get a FWARED. Well, guess what? He's had his hearings, and he's now going to get a FWARED. And, yes, because we couldn't send him anywhere in South America or Central America because of the Papusa gangs. Now, remember, part of the argument was that his mom made pupusas, and those are basically like Crunchwrap Supremes. So his mom was like the Crunchwrap queen of El Salvador. And they had this great Crunchwrap empire. And the Crunchwrap gangs, the Papusa gangs, came in and muscled in on that and took over the business. And for some reason, he was going to get killed. I don't really understand. It seems like a lot of bullshit, but hey, it was all about Crunchwrap Supremes, apparently, which, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I can understand, because I enjoy a good Crunchwrap Supreme myself. Just like the commercials you say, man, it's good to go. It's not a torta, though. It's not a torta. Yes, literal Taco Bell wars. That is correct. We had, just like, Dole and United Fruit Company having paramilitary groups topple governments in Central America and fight wars, we're now having Taco Bell. We're having wars over Taco Bell items. And, it's really important. So I understand part of the consternation here. And as things went, he's having to get deported. Well, they tried to deport him to a lot of places. They tried to deport him to all over Central America, but that was too dangerous. And they said, okay, well, where can we send you? And they said nowhere. He's got to stay in America. It's too dangerous. It's like, ay, oh no, it's too dangerous, muy dangeroso. Can't go to Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua. Can't go anywhere in South America. Well, how about Eswatini, also known as Lesotho? Nope. How about Uganda? Well, no, I can't go there. Why can't you go to Uganda? Well, technically, I can't go to Uganda because I don't speak the language. Like, they speak English. And it's like, oh, well, yeah. So, all the bullshit's happening. There is a new player in town that might take, and that has agreed to take him, and may do so by the end of the week, next week, which is also the end of the month. It's Halloween. The great nation of Liberia. The capital of Monrovia. Yes, in chat, you're like, wait, wasn't Liberia one of those hellholes that had a nasty civil war? Yes. And they had 2 massive fucking civil wars. You guys have ever heard of this guy? Charles Taylor is their former president. He has been convicted of war crimes. Like, it's some nasty shit in Liberia. Liberia, it was all, and remember, if you guys have never heard of this before, but even in Liberia, if you guys have never heard of this guy, the Liberian Civil War was so fucking insane. One of the leaders in it, and as Count Dankula has recounted, was a guy named General Butt Naked. And what they would do is they would butcher children and eat them alive. And then go into battle naked, fighting against the government and other factions. Not General Buck Naked, Butt Naked. And for those of you who don't know where we're talking about here, this is Liberia. Liberia is down on kind of the base of the skull in Africa, next to Sierra Leone and the Ivory Coast. So, square, like smack dab in between 2 really fucking unstable places. The Ivory Coast, where the French military comes in every once in a while, the Côte d'Ivoire. And they sent the Foreign Legion in, have to go straighten it out. And you have the great nation of Liberia. Yes. So he's got to go. Yes, it's a former U.S. slave colony where slaves went. After the Civil War, they wanted to go there, and they set it up. And then they started their own slavery. And then Firestone Tire Company took advantage of the rubber plantations and had more slavery. So it's like, wow. So, like, the slaves came back to Africa and enslaved more Africans. You're like, wow. You're like, that fucking checks, I guess. That checks. Now, so it didn't turn into Wakanda? Weird. Yeah, well. So that is where they're going, and here's some information. So this is in a court filing. This is his case. This is his habeas case up in Maryland with that weird bitch, Judge Zinnis, trying to dictate immigration policy. And they've told her, the federal defendants hereby provide notice they've identified a new country for removal and has agreed to accept petitioner, the Republic of Liberia. Although petitioner has identified more than 20 countries that he purports to fear would persecute or torture him, Liberia is not on that list. And here's the problem. If he was smart, he would have just said, every country's going to torture me, but, like, not all of them would. But if that was going to happen, I'd be like, fine, I'm going to send you to fucking Uzbekistan or something like that. Like, fine, here you go. Here, have fun in send him to Kyrgyzstan, he can go to Tashkent. That would be the best. Or send him to Tajikistan. Because at that point, you're on the edge of India and China. Kashgar is on the edge of China. Here's Tajikistan. Dushanbe is the capital of Tajikistan. But we could, if he goes to Uzbekistan, he could go to places like Samarkand, which is like one of the oldest cities in recorded history. It's been continuously populated. I mean, back through antiquity. And, like, that's actually one of the, like, Samarkand is, like, actually a pretty cool place. I think it would be fun to go through this area if you wouldn't get fucking murdered by Islamic militants. But Samarkand especially, like, that would be so cool to go to. Oh, it didn't show the map. Oh, shit, I'm sorry, chat. We could send him to, he's like, well, then fuck. They should have just said, like, fine, you're going to Tajikistan. Have fun with this, buddy. Or send him to Turkmenistan. It's like, we're even better. Why don't we send him to Afghanistan? That would be even better, in my opinion. But he claimed, like, everywhere in the world's gonna kill me. Oh, no. I can't go anywhere I can't go anywhere in the Americas except the United States. I can only go to Maryland. Ay, los míos. Bruh. So. Yeah, send him to Siberia. Well, Russia would have to accept him. Oh, you guys are coming over from Nick. Well, hello, everybody coming from Nick. Hi, Nick. Hope you're doing well. Just had his nice stream going. I saw he was going earlier. Hope he got a lot of spins on the wheel. Let's go. Brandon says maybe I could swap spots with him. So anyway, he has said, I can't go anywhere. There's 20 countries I can't go to. Well, Liberia's not on the list, and it's correct. Liberia is a thriving democracy, and it's funny. I think they're daring these like left-wing lawyers to say, no, it's a shithole country. It's one of America's closest partners on the African continent. Founded 2 centuries ago by American emigres who were slaves, Liberia has maintained strong connections in the United States. Indeed, Liberia named its capital Monrovia in honor of U.S. President James Monroe. Its national language is English, the same as the country where Kilmar Abrego Garcia has resided for the last several years. And it modeled its constitution, which has been in place since 1986. It provides robust, Dark Side Phil must have already been involved there, robust, urban human rights protections. In large part on the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, the problem is, though, they actually did enslave the Africans when they came back in the day. So, this commitment is reflected in the 2025 orders, where they produce protections for refugees and vulnerable populations. They say the federal defendants have received diplomatic assurances regarding the treatment of third country individuals removed to Liberia from the United States and are making the final necessary arrangements for removal. Defendants expect to provide the requisite formal notice of the new designation of Liberia to petitioner later today. That means it came out today, chat. Once that notice is provided, defendants will follow the procedures set forth in the policy for third country removals previously submitted to this court, which they are allowed to do. They expect to effectuate the removal as soon as Halloween. Sent in Brett Shumate, Drew Ensign, and all the team over at the U.S. DOJ. Now, we do know there's some things that happened. And if you go to the Liberian Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, some stuff happened here. And you can see Liberia strengthens ties with the United States with strategic dialogues at the White House. From October 18th, so last week, like literally last week, you're like, how did that work out? And guess what? Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, is hanging out with the Liberian Minister of Foreign Affairs. Also, he's acting national security advisor, which is hilarious. He's every position in the federal government right now. But look, the two of them, they're like, we're friends together forever. So they talk about this. They met on October 16th, strengthening bilateral relations. There was diplomatic momentum here, and they want to turn, they talk about turning Liberia's natural wealth into shared prosperity, critical infrastructure and mobility frameworks. So what does that mean? The U.S. government and they're going to ensure that investment comes their way. Gee, isn't that kind of funny here? Migration and mobility frameworks were prominent in the dialogue. Um, also the progress made on the task force that is addressing U.S. immigration issues. Think about that, Chad. I mean, like, they have their own immigration issues because the U.S. intends to restore visa reciprocity across several categories. Um, and yes, Liberia has good migration practices now. It's like, well, that's interesting how that all worked out. That's all that worked out. So, guess what? We now have from the Liberian government, once again, the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, they are going to receive Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia on humanitarian grounds. So they have announced their decision to receive him following a formal request from the United States government, extensive consultations with relevant national and international stakeholders, meaning the U.S. The actions are guided by both international humanitarian norms and the long-standing tradition of offering refuge to those in need. As one of Africa's oldest republics, I mean, quote unquote, when they weren't enslaving people or having civil wars, it was. Liberia has historically extended protections. Is it temporary, Brandon? I don't think it's temporary in the sense of, if it's temporary, he can leave. Well, how the fuck is he going to leave? Because he can't come back. So if he can't come back, like you guys are thinking here, yes, it's a tangy protection. But if he can't go back, remember, he says he's scared to go anywhere in Central America. Well, fine, you fly back on your own dime. But he won't be able to. It's not like they got the money. And they say, he's going to have to get papers and permission to leave, and he won't have travel permission. And Liberia reaffirms its role as a responsible member of the international community. And they respect among nations, anchored in law, due process, and mutual respect. So what are they going to do here? So they're going to engage closely with the U.S. Department of State to ensure that all arrangements here are done to the highest standards of safety, transparency, and humane treatment. What are they going to do? Comprehensive security screening and vetting. Well, if they determine he's a gang member, uh-oh. But look, Chad, he's going to get due process. Isn't that what the left wanted? You're getting your due process. Yay! 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 Non-refoulement assurance. Now, non-refoulement is an actual thing, chat. This is when, if you have refugees. So, for example, this is an issue with the Ukraine. There are a lot of Ukrainians who fled Ukraine and have taken refuge all across Europe. There have been murmurs from the Ukrainian government that they would like the able-bodied men returned to Ukraine. The problem is those people have sought asylum. They've claimed they're refugees. And if you return refugees to a country or to somewhere where people are from, it's called refoulement. Refoulement is an actual term. So non-refoulement is the promise and international obligation to not send refugees and people from war-torn places back to those war-torn countries. Whether or not that country is going to, sometimes, like, let's say you're sending people back to North Korea. Well, you can't do that. They're going to get killed and tortured. Well, in the case of Ukraine, they're going to go get sent to fight in a war and get killed by the Russians. You don't have to do that. So he will not be returned to any country where he may face a risk of persecution, torture, or other harm. And they're going to coordinate with the United Nations. And they will do everything, including potential resettlement or lawful transfer where appropriate. So he's going to have to stay there for a while till they figure something out. But yes, they're promising not to send him anywhere bad. And if he goes there, that's going to look really bad on the left, so I don't think it's going to happen. They acknowledge the Acknowledgments Humanitarian Act and notes it was taken voluntarily in good faith and solely on humanitarian grounds. Oh, it totally was that, and it wasn't because of this whole discussion they had previously. It totally wasn't about the thing you did the week before. It totally has nothing to do with that. It totally doesn't have anything to do with that. And it underscores the long-standing relationship between Liberia and the United States, built upon shared values of humanity, freedom, and justice. Liberia remains committed to strengthening partnerships that promote lawful, humane, and sustainable approaches to protection and humanitarian cooperation. So, there he goes, chat. There he goes. Yes, it sounds like the afuera is really going to happen this time. We are almost there, chat. We are almost there. So, that's the up. That is. Oh shit! You guys couldn't. You guys. I got to bring it back over here. This is it. He is going away. He is going away. Yeah, he's going to become a political football, and I'm sure that's not what he wanted. But hey, I'm sure all these leftists that were helping him, oh well, they don't care anymore. He was a football that no longer has use. They punted him, and now they wish to move on. So, I guess that's what you get. They turned you into a football buddy. Sorry. Sorry about that. These people used you, which is kind of awful, but I mean, they did. They did. And then, real quick here, Graham. It's good to see you, man. It's been a little while. Member for 38 months. Going all the way back, chat. All the way back. Back and way back. Go deep. Election denial flips sides after the Dominion transfer. Yeah, people are starting to shit themselves that now right Republican and right-leaning groups are now apparently in control of Dominion voting systems. So yes, it's going to be interesting how now we're going to see maybe all that money will go back to where it's from. I don't know. It'll be funny though. But yes, Graham, it's good to see you for 38 months. Yes, but it do be like that, Mr. Graham. BobTube says, do Kilmar and Rekieta have the same lawyer? He got deported to an African hellhole. No, I don't think Frank White was handling it, but I could see that happening. I could see Frank White, causing that to happen. Yes. No, remember, he was given opportunities to go to, like, Costa Rica, and he's like, no, the Papusa gang, the Crunchwrap gang will find me. So, I don't know where he's supposed to go. But thank you, Bob, for your 5 Australian dollar doodles. And yes, Johnny Osprey, yes. Didn't the U.S. and British, well, mainly the British, force a bunch of refugees to go back to the East and face the Russians after World War II? Yes, the Lienz Cossacks, as so famously talked about in the plot to GoldenEye. Yes, the British repatriated and refouled a bunch of Lienz Cossacks to the Russians. Now, there were also issues of, and this is a little different, though, when the Russians were pushing to the Elbe River, obviously, there were German army units that were preciously and desperately trying to go surrender to the Americans. Now, the thing was, the Americans would say, the British would say, we can't accept your surrender, you have to go back. So they would have to engage in fights and combat. That way they're like, look, now we're actually fighting. But yes, there were a lot of them. There were a lot of units that were desperately fleeing the Russians. Everybody in Germany was fleeing the Russians. Vank's Ninth Army. Wait, did he have the Ninth Army? Hold on here. He had he had the 9th and 12th Army. By the end of the war, he had the 12th Army, though. Yeah. So, yes, but Walter Vank had that. He was desperate to get his men to the east. To the west. But yes, a lot of them got returned back to the Russians, which it's like, yeah, that didn't go so well for many of them. And also that included Russian prisoners of war that the Allies, when they overran POW camps, sent the Russian POWs back to Russia, which treated them as traitors and murdered and tortured all those people. So, yes, even if you're a Russian soldier and you got captured, the KGB and the NKVD treated you like a traitor. So, yeah, it was bad. It was bad for everybody. Bad for everybody. WMMAC now for $1.99 says, so long, Maryland man. Yes. Yes, that is true. Goodbye, Maryland man. Philip Kogan says a lot of ones got sent to Denmark to clear landmines. Those were Germans that were captured by the British. Sent the Germans to go clear landmines off the beaches in Denmark. So, yes, the Sabaton song Hearts of Iron is about the Germans making it to the U.S. Yep. The U.S. immigration policy now, yes. Close the door, Alec. There's a draft. Alec? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no. That's not good. Yes, the Cossacks requested asylum, too. Yep, they did. Chris Van Hollen is so sad about this. Yes, the senator from Maryland. Yep. Rainbolt says, what happens if the Massachusetts judge tries to block this or stall it? At some point, at that point, I mean, like, that'll get appealed up, but I think at that point the government is acting within its power. They're not sending him back to where he's not allowed to go. And, you know, fuck him. There's only so much that can happen there. That's all they can do. James Reed says 4 million Haitians are coming for Ohio. No, they are not. Don't scare me like that. God, that would be bad. That would be so scary. Clyde would be Clyde, I don't know what we do, Clyde. I don't know what we would do. I don't know what we would do. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be very interesting though at the end of the month because all the Haitians are not gonna get their snap. The Vanguard King says Count Dankula has a mad lads about General Butt Naked. He does. He does. Yes, it's gonna be the Haitian Jeet War 2026. Ooh, that would be an awful conflict. That would be an awful conflict. WMMAC now says, it do be like that, Mrs. Stansel. It do be like that. I will have to send Clyde to somebody in PA for asylum. No, Clyde will be with me till the end. Clyde will be with me till the end. And it says the first week in November will be so peaceful grocery shopping. I don't know about that. Oh, God. I think it's going to get really bad. And I'm not sure I'd want to be at a grocery store the first week of November. You might, like, Instacart may see a massive increase in market share. It's going to be a little rough. Sorry about that, chat. Fair Frozen says, wait, what's happening November 1st? Snap is, there will be no SNAP payments that go out. So, food stamps are going to get hit. And oh Lord, child, it's going to be rough. Yeah, I'm not sorry. Well, not to you. Ow, I just felt that one like in the back of my shoulders. Jeez. I don't think there's any Walmarts in Haiti. No, there are not. Just avoid Walmarts. Well, it all depends where you live. If you live out in the middle of nowhere, you're fine. But, like, it all depends where you live. Yes. He's sneezing. He's got the sniffles. I need Theraflu. No, this is my allergies. This is my allergies doing this. So here, anyways, chat. That is kind of the updates for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Now, moving on to kind of one that's like a little this is a bit ridiculous here. Down in the Coast Guard base Alameda, that's over in Oakland. There was Antifa showed up and started protesting. And some Yahoo shows up to the Coast Guard base with a U-Haul truck. And it's so fucking... This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense here. And look what happens. And this guy tries to run the Coast Guard barriers. And the Coast Guard, look, they do their thing. Here you go. You could hear some zips and cracks and pew pew. So yes, they lit that fucking thing up because you're not allowed to run the gate on a military base. Bad idea, no matter who you are. And you could see that they were doing their bullshit of getting ready to obstruct it. Never run the gate at a military base. They will fucking kill you. They will kill you. Don't bother them, says pew pew. Yeah. Yep. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And then David over at MLS Making Law Simple. Doing the stream in the Lego buildings. Among all kinds of things. Hope you're doing well tonight, David. He says for $9.99. He says Trump is Kang. Yes, he is. He is the Emperor of Mankind. And also Emperor of our hearts. Our hearts, chat. He's the Emperor of our hearts, too. As long, for those who believe in the Emperor, will walk in his guiding and warming light. Those of you who don't, you will be forced to roam in the darkness. Because the Emperor does protect. The Emperor protects. Whiskey 77 says, I just sent your contact info to the Westboro Baptist Church. I told them you're grifting for subs claiming to be a healer. Now they want you to be their leader. That's fine. Those guys made money, man. Those guys made money scamming stuff. Like, they made good... They ate well doing that. They ate well doing that. And Whiskey 77 for 20 subs! Let's go, chat. Let's go tonight. Apparently, Whiskey 77 is the only one who wants 2.0 to get better. I mean, you guys keep telling me you love her, you like her, she's so nice and sweet to everybody, but Whiskey's the only one who wants 2.0 to get better. I mean, how dare you want the love of my life just to be sick and stay sick? You guys are, I'll say it. Guys are not nice people. Why would you do this to her? Why would you do this to her? I mean, Whiskey's the only one that we're here to woo for. It's just something to think about, chat. It's just something to think about. So, Coke Fairy says they were not fucking around. No, in any U.S. military base, this happens. And every once in a while, on major military bases that are right next to a highway, there's usually like an exit, like an off-ramp, that goes to the base, and people getting chased by the police accidentally go down it, and there's no way to turn around. So guess what happens? The gate guards will engage that vehicle. Running a gate is a very dangerous. Like, he's lucky he didn't get killed. They were trying. The dude is going to get a security deposit back. It's not, and they caught him. He's arrested and in custody currently because he showed up at a hospital. He got wounded. Yeah, he's like, I just got to get out one more Twitter tweet or something on Blue Sky before I die. Oh, they found it and dumped? Oh, I thought they found him there. Edie Raptor goes, sometimes it do be like that, Mr. Martin. Oh. EDW Raptor for 5 subs. Let's go. Tech Guy Cell says, in your point, what? That you guys don't like 2.0? It's just sad. I thought people liked her. Amateur Iconoclast for 1 sub. Thank you, guys. You know, I'll let 2.0. There's people who do love her and want her to feel better and care about her. It's not just whiskey. And real quick chat before we get too far. Whiskey 77 and 3 beers are Whiskey 77's one half of Assholes React. You guys can find them on YouTube at A-Holes React. Every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, Whiskey joins 3 beers, and they go through all kinds of stuff during the week and review things, watch videos, have laughs. It's a good time. I know a bunch of you guys have been in there before, but if you're new to them, give them a look and at least throw them a sub. You know, just click that sub, help them out, show them some love if you can out there. When does the 3.0 software get released? Yeah, he may have went to the hospital after he dumped it. They put it together. That could be. So, Eric is like, this is by me. Yes. So as things went on, chat, it got even, like, the next day, like, here's what happened today. The next day.
Back up. Hey, back up.
Leave him alone. They're not doing anything. Don't touch him. Don't touch him.
ICE is not walking on the coastline.
Now, ICE is using the Coast Guard facility, from what I understand, as a staging point. But notice, all these, like, they're screaming about ICE, but what do you see on this guy's chest? USCG. For those of you who are not from America, that means the United States Coast Guard.
Blue-eyed Nazis, calm down. We know we hurt your feelings, Nazis. Okay, Nazis, we know we hurt your feelings.
They're screaming at the Coast Guard and calling the Coast Guardmen fucking Nazis. Think about that. The guys in the Coast Guard are now Nazis. I mean, of all the branches in the military, although technically right now, and not if they're not at a time of war, they're part of the DH, Department of Homeland Security, but they are still a military branch. These guys are Nazis. Ridiculous.
You're not paying attention.
So yes, that is what's going on at a Coast Guard facility. Debbie says, yes, we care about 2.0. If this goes on much longer, we'll need proof of life. Debbie O for 5 subs. Okay, guys, I was trying to joke a little bit there. I'm sorry. I feel a little dark side Phillish for doing that, so I'm sorry. But thank you, Debbie, for your support and your generosity. But yes, I'll get 2.0 to come over and say something soon. Is the Coast Guard governed by the UCMJ? Yes, they are. They are 100% governed by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Yeah, those tattoos on that one chick were weird, but hey. That's what they do. Final Singularity says, imagine being surprised that trying to breach a military base would get you shot. Absolute lunacy amongst these people. I agree. Okay. Brandon. Oh, no. You guys are on to me. Nobody's going to believe she got run over by a model train, Sean. But chat, you do not understand. The 2.0, she was on the train tracks when the model train came through, and it ran her over. It mashed her like a potato. To quote the great Jean-Francois Garapi. How you not no understand this? How you do not understand? Did I just release her to the woods of French Canada? Did you? No, I released her. 2.0 went on to, she has the hippie spirit, and she looked outside and she says, I shall go for a walk in the woods of Ohio. So she started walking through East Cleveland, never to be seen again. And then that's why I came in here and that is why I came in here and rearranged my office and did a little spring cleaning. That's what this Swiffer was for. Yes, I killed 2.0 and cleaned up the office. Darcy for 20 subs. Thank you, Darcy, for your support and your generosity, chat. Just remember, crushing those grays is the only thing we can do right now to help America at this point. Yes, that's true, chat. Crushing the grays, that's what we're here for. Crushing them. Absolutely. Proof of life, Sean. You see, what had happened was... Yes, Jean-Francois Martin. I wouldn't do. I can't. Yeah, that's the big thing. If anything happened to her, who kills the spiders for me? I don't know, man. That would be dangerous. How is JF not in jail? Because he was able to destroy his house and gut it. That's why. That is why I took her to Niagara Falls. Demon's Rest says, oh my, oui, le petit pomme de terre 2.0. Duh. 2.0. Duh. Was mashed. Was walking the dogs. Hein. I read that in his voice. That's so funny. Why does it smell like ammonia? You're asking... Shh. You ask way too many fucking questions. Shh. Was she handcuffed in the car when the model trained her? Yeah. Yes, the Cleveland Metro Parks are so dense. EDW Raptor says, for just one sub, you can bless 2.0 in her moment of illness. Yes. Mikey gifting 10 subs. Thank you, Mikey, for your support and your generosity. Bob Johnson says she's with Bonbon now. Oh, no. Yes. Bonbon, Sunny, and Kaya. They're all with 2.0. Johan says, first of all, lower your voice. All right. All right, guys, moving on. Now let's get to the main event. Letitia James, the Attorney General of the state of New York. Well, as she wanted to live by the sword and make her career on persecuting Donald Trump, as she said when she won, one of her platform was, I am going to prosecute Donald Trump. That was her platform. And what did she do? Well, she found the idea that, oh, no, they lied on bank loans and they grossly overvalued their property. And that led to the case where Judge Engeron levied a $500 million fine against the Trump organization and tried to cripple him. But the New York Appellate Court said, no, you can't do that. That's insane. The rest of the case is still surviving. That is making its way up through the Court of Appeals. But Letitia James, well, you know what? This is the problem when you go after people. You better not be doing dirt of your own. If you got dirt of your own, guess what? People are going to notice you got some dirt of your own. And remember, Letitia James was indicted for mortgage fraud, lying about a house she bought in Norfolk, Virginia. And you're like, oh, in Virginia Beach, Virginia, she bought a beach house? No, she bought a house like in the hood for some reason. Now, she's bought other properties as well that she apparently has fucked around with. We don't really know those yet, but the house in Virginia is what she got indicted for. Well, she just had her arraignments, and she came out and spoke to everybody, and here she is just talking about it. Everybody's talking at me, and here she showed up to talk about everything.
I want to thank all of you.
It sure is a vindictive prosecution, but she broke the law. I mean, is the idea that if you vindictively prosecute somebody, you're now immune because, well, wait, anytime I might get punished, it's reciprocity? It's a very retarded comment she's going to do here, but it happens.
I want to thank all of you. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank you for your prayers. I want to thank you for your emails. I want to thank you for your support. It has strengthened my spirit and it has anchored my soul. And so I want to thank you. But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. And a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law.
But did you break the law? It sounds like you did. It sounds like you broke the law too, though, honey. She's looking mighty white with her makeup. It's kind of interesting. So there you go. That was her thing there. Yes, revenge implies there's a reason. Yes. Yes, it's all retribution. For what? Why is there retribution? It's all revenge. For what? Why would somebody want to come after you? What did you do? Yeah, she uses a weave as well. I'm sure she's wearing a weave. Her primer is too light. She's trying to look white. It looks better. Because, yes, it is okay to be white. Otto gifting 5 subs. Jim Cox, been a member for 20 months, says there's a main event. Yes, there is. We're getting to it now. And Erica Thorpe for $19.99. Thank you, Erica. Basically $20. It says, I can't send subs on mobile. You don't have to, guys. Remember, support is you guys commenting, liking, subscribing, that's all support too. That's all massive support. This stuff is great support too, but just anything you guys do is support. So here, take my money. Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, you Winter Soldier says the Ashley Blacks look ashen. Yes. Yes, Trump looks back in anger. Yes. Yes, he didn't really buy into the song from, he didn't really buy into Liam Gallagher's words, So, Letitia can't wait. Don't look back in anger. I heard Melania say. He's like, no, I'm looking back in anger. As he should. He should. Kay says, it's okay. Erica's just a woman. It's her husband's money. Oh, yes. Oasis are a bunch of commies. That may be. But, if you're going to tell me you can't sit here and listen to Don't Look Back in Anger and not fucking... Like, that is, like, probably one of the best... Like, other than, like... There's a couple songs, like, if you're at the bar and, like... Or if you're at a party and you're getting just blasted, especially in college, and this hits on there, and you just start belting it out at, like, there's... I don't know how you can't go along with that, Just, so Sally can't wait. Like, if you're telling me you're not getting fired up to start just belting it out at that point, I don't know what to tell you, man. So, Champagne Supernova's better. Yeah. I don't know about that. It's good, but I like Don't Look Back in Anger. Oasis is shit. I don't know about that. That definitely is not correct. Garrett says you need to find help. Really? Why? Because I don't like everything they've ever done, but you're telling me you don't like Don't Look Back in Anger? Come on, man. And I remember somebody 2.0 sent me a thing, and like apparently Liam Gallagher goes around to like bars and just plays like in like bands. And like he was there, like basically played like a whole set for people. So, let's see here. What were you? Hold on here. Okay, EDW Raptor is like he got finger blasted to Oasis. I'm like, I don't know, buddy. You're a dude. I don't know how you get... Well, I understand you can get finger blasted, but I don't think that's how that was supposed to go for you. You might need to go see a counselor for that one. Might need to go see a counselor. Chumbawamba had a communist commune going on, or is that someone else? I don't know, but, Chumbawamba's not bad, too. So anyway, this is Wonderwall. All right, guys, so she showed up, and there were some interesting things that have happened in Letitia James's case. There was one of the assistant U.S. attorneys resisted bringing charges against her, was fired after allegations. Now, she tried to claim, I was brave, I was a resistance fighter. Yes, I was a resistance fighter. I was standing up to evil Trump. Well, no, it sounds like she may have been leaking personal case information to her personal email. You're like, huh. In chat, I understand you're going to see the name Rabinowitz and notice, but we're not going to notice right now. But yes, apparently she sent investigative files with personal identifying information to her private email account. According to an email reviewed by CNN, and yes, the prosecutor, Beth Usey, and a assistant U.S. attorney, was dismissed earlier this month because of the mishandling of information. Now, they're claiming, her attorney says, that's not true! That didn't happen, no, it was you! She's like, that's not true! Yes, because it wouldn't surprise me that a prosecutor fucks around. I mean, like, yes. Now, that is part of, remember, she tried to claim that she authored a memo explaining why there was not enough evidence to bring charges against Letitia James, but we covered it. She wrote in her tax documents this is an investment property, and she was deducting rent and things like that. Yet the people who lived there said we weren't being charged rent. And she lied on forums repeatedly stating it is a residential home, not an investment property. Yet she turned around and treated it like an investment property on her taxes and all other financial filings. So Letitia James fucked herself 6 ways from Sunday on this. So that is a kind of nice revelation where it's like, no, the prosecutor was just an asshole. In the meantime, though, there's some basic information that we have. If you guys hadn't seen this yet, we do have some information here. We have the court put out an order recently, and the order kind of just goes through some of the basic stuff that's going to happen in the case. So the jury trial shall begin on January 26, 2026. There's going to be a meet and confer for a joint discovery order by Halloweener. If you can't reach an agreement, they have to do all this here. They say, and this is where we're going to get to, the defendant has filed a motion to enforce rules prohibiting the disclosures by the government. And, the government's going to respond by Tuesday. And they say, any motion to dismiss the indictment based on a theory of vindictive or selective prosecution shall be filed by November 7th. We're going to get to that. The government shall file a response by November 21st. And then they get a chance to respond back. The court will hold a hearing on December 5th. Any pretrial motions need to be filed by November 17th. That includes, motions to suppress, things like that. Responses are by December 1st. Now, notice, this is for both sides. So the government wanted to file things pretrial and Letitia James. The court will hold an additional hearing on December 17th at 11 a.m. So... and all filings shall be, and guys, remember, we talked about this before. With federal court, typically, you could file electronically all day until midnight, and it's still valid. But this judge is saying everything shall be done by 5 p.m. on the day of the deadline. So, end of business. And this came out today. So, we have some basic information about what's going to happen here. So, let me see here. Where are you guys looking at? All right. So that is the basic information. This motion from Letitia James, and this is really fucking cringe here. I can't believe her attorneys did this, but this is such bullshit. It says, United States of America versus Letitia James. This is how it's the title of it. Attorney General Letitia James' motion to enforce rules prohibiting extrajudicial disclosures. You're not Attorney General right now. You are just Letitia James. The fucking hubris of this woman. I mean, this is one of the, really? I mean, think about, look at this shit. I mean, hold on, Chad. I gotta grab the book. Where is it? Jeez, I'm dying here with my sinuses. But guys, you're calling yourself, you're not Attorney General. You are just a regular person. You're not there in your role as Attorney General. You were a shitbag in your private life. But she's calling herself Attorney General here. Letitia, honey, Tish, you better start reading the Greek plays. The word of the day. This stream is brought to you by the word hubris. That's the secret word, hubris. Ah! She said the word! Hubris. Hubris. You want to talk about getting felted? The Greeks, people got fucking felted in the Greek plays. You know, like, be fucking careful, honey. Terabas says, quiet, Sean. A black woman is speaking. Actually, a black woman is speaking. Yeah, there we go. Or I gotta do like, there we go. There we go. I'm yelling a lot tonight. Yes, a little bit. The Greek homos stole our plays. Well, no, we stole from them. We stole from them. Hubris, that's her cousin's name. Yes. Demon's Wrath is right. That black woman, she fixing the holler. Yes, comedy is synonymous with tragedy. It is. But the Greeks, really, people learned about fucking hubris. But she's not an attorney general. She's not there in an official role as an attorney general. She's just a dumb bitch who fucking scammed mortgages. That's all she is, and that's all it should be. She's not attorney general now. She's not attorney general. But she's filing a motion here. And what is she saying? She wants to prevent future disclosures of investigative and case materials. Basically, she wants a gag order, and that's fair. This is actually fair. I don't have a problem with this. It's this thing I have a problem with, but her telling the government needs to shut the fuck up. I think that's fair. But yes, over the past 6 months, as the investigation went on, several media outlets quoting sources familiar with or briefed on the matter. Now, it's funny because I guarantee you she leaked all kinds of shit about Donald Trump. Have reported the activities of prosecutors in front of grand juries. Yep, although it's like getting reported to CNN and things like that. So you're like, wait, the New York Times and CNN again. Like, whose fucking fault is that? Whose fault is that? The New York Times? Like, is that our fault? No, I don't think so. And they said that there were disclosures and investigative information that would be known only to the government. And then it says, although the government sought and filed the indictment on October 9th, signed by only a purported interim U.S. attorney, the articles issued before the charges indicated the charges would be brought. And they talk about what's now a digital messaging exchange that occurred after the government brought charges. And this is fucking weird here. This did happen. U.S. Attorney Halligan and Anna Bauer, who's a journalist for Lawfare. This was a fucking weird thing that happened. The article and the text are attached as 2 exhibits. Halligan, the U.S. attorney, and this reporter had a bunch of signal messages. And Halligan, the U.S. attorney, is the one who contacted the journalist. So what do they do? Well, they point out, like, this all happened here. And 2 days after she got bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution, the U.S. attorney reached out claiming she was reporting things that weren't true, saying, that's not true! And said not long after that post, they followed up with a second post. They're saying, everything that happened here. And they said that after confirming the identity, Bauer asked the purported interim U.S. attorney what she was getting wrong. And Halligan replied, honestly, so much. I can't tell you everything, but your reporting is just way off. I had to let you know. If you can't, like, that is a problem as a prosecutor. Like, no, you fucking prove your case. You don't even have sources that are accurately telling you what you're writing. It's like, well, that's not fucking important. Apparently, and she stated that to that journalist reported on exculpatory evidence, and then she added 2 additional statements. Yes, they did get something wrong, but you went with it. And it says they had disclosed grand jury info, which is also not a full representation of what happened. And then later messages cite evidence that must have been presented to the grand jury, as it was also referenced in the indictment. And it said she received thousands of dollars in rent, which she did claim under taxes. She claimed thousands and thousands of dollars in rent. She did do all this, chat. 100% she did. But there were a bunch more exchanges. You know, this U.S. attorney said you're biased, your reporting is inaccurate. I'm the one handling the case. And I'm telling you that. Why are you wasting your time talking to the reporter? You dumb bitch. That's not your job. This is actually a legitimate gripe by Letitia James. I think this is fucked up. This shouldn't have happened. You know, and then what happened after that? Bauer reached out to the DOJ's public affairs office, and then later Halligan claims it was all off the record. By the way, everything I said to you ever said to you was off the record. It doesn't work that way. She says, I'm sorry, that's not how this works. You don't get to say in retrospect. It doesn't matter anyway with reporters. Remember, you think you hate journalists, but you don't hate them enough. There's no such thing as off the record if they don't want it to be off the record. If a journalist wants to fuck you, they'll fuck you. And she says, yes, I do off record. And she says, she's like, no, it's not true. It's all off the record. No. She's sounding meme copium. Yes, it's all off the record. No, the whole conversation disappeared. So this just goes on and on and on here. But yes, this violates the federal rules of criminal procedure, the Code of Federal Regulations, the local court rules. And we talked about this last night with the case for Tyler Robinson for murdering Charlie Kirk. You have ethical rules. Rule 3.6, you cannot talk about shit like that for professional responsibility in the DOJ's internal justice manual. So, these do, they prohibit extrajudicial disclosures, and they could jeopardize her rights to a fair trial, which is a problem. It could. We're trying to avoid prejudice. And it's a case Gentile versus State Bar in Nevada. It's a legitimate thing. There's our rules of secrecy for grand jury matters. You're not supposed to disclose what happened before the grand jury. Remember, in the Karen Reed case, a lady got in trouble for leaking that shit. You're not supposed to talk about what happens in the grand jury. That's, yeah, don't ever talk to cops. Don't ever be seen around reporters. Yep. When it goes to that, and you're prohibited disclosing things that would reveal what happened before the grand jury. That includes what is occurring, what has occurred, and what is likely to occur. So, the government does prosecute violations of Rule 6E. The court has contempt powers for that. That is a crime to leaking information. It happens. You're not supposed to fucking do it. They talk about the Code of Federal Regulations also has clear rules prohibiting DOJ prosecutors from releasing statements. There's section 50.2b, and that'd be 28 CFR 50.2. You can look up the Code of Federal Regulations. Remember, all the regulations agencies pass is in the CFR. The Code of Federal Regulations. So there's a lot that can happen here. There's a lot that can be done. There's, this could influence a defendant's trial. Yeah, you're not supposed to fucking talk. If you can't handle that, don't handle the case. The CFR does not have an exception for making disclosures off the record. The local rules for the U.S. District Court in Virginia, Eastern District Court in Virginia, can't do it. There's free press, fair trial directives. You cannot release any extrajudicial statement which would be further disseminated by means of public communication if it concerns the identity or testimony of witnesses and the opinion of their guilt or innocence as to the merits of a case or the evidence in a case. You're not allowed to do that. But you know what? We talked about this last night. When the prosecutor runs their mouth, as the defendant, you're allowed to run your mouth in response. Because if the prosecutor does this, you're allowed to go up to here. You're allowed to catch up to him. Now, what you're not allowed to do is go higher. But you're allowed to reciprocate what happens. And I think that's fair. She's going to have to do that. And I think Lindsay Halligan did fuck this up. You know, you're supposed to refrain from making extrajudicial statements. And it goes beyond the public record is not necessary to inform the public. The grand jury is not public. You know, and this was just 2 days after the indictment got signed. You know, there's the rules of professional responsibility. I'm sorry, Model Rule 3.8 is the rule of a prosecutor. You know, that you have, you know, special rules of prosecutor. You refrain from making extrajudicial comments that could heighten public condemnation of the accused. There's also Rule 3.6 for trial publicity. And remember, chat, prosecutors have their own special rule. You know, there's also the Virginia Rules of Professional Conduct, which that's the one that matters. The model rules from the American Bar Association aren't as important. It's the actual rules for Virginia. Federal prosecutors are not exempt. Certainly not if you're handling the case. The DOJ's manuals, their internal manuals, state this. You should presume non-public information is protected from disclosure, with few exceptions. You must report any contact with a media member about a DOJ matter, especially if the contact concerns classified or grand jury subject matter. You must immediately notify a supervisor. Meaning not just send out an email. You need to call your boss and be like, oh my God, the reporters are asking about the grand jury in this case. You have to get on it. Yes, wasn't Trump gagged in his cases? Yep. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But yes, remember, rules for thee, not rules for thee, not for me. But that's not the point. We have to do it the right way. So, these do jeopardize her right to a fair trial and have been barred. You know, this isn't bullshit here. This isn't bullshit. Ultimately, is it going to prejudice it too far? Not yet. But they want a gag order prohibiting further governmental disclosures, requiring government counsel agents to obey all relevant laws and regulations regarding the record's retention, preserve all communications with the media people or journals, and take steps to prevent deletion or destruction of any records having to do with the investigation and prosecution of the case. That would, I think, be a discovery issue, but otherwise, I don't think they have the authority to do that. And now this one here is bullshit, directing counsel to maintain a log of all contact between any government agent and any member of the news press concerning this case. Well, I think that's bullshit. And notice, who do you guys see here? Abe Lowell. Wow, the guy who defended fucking Hunter Biden. Wow, it's like a fucking little incestuous cabal, isn't it, chat? Isn't it? Isn't that funny how that works? Isn't that funny where these fuckers all come out of? The rocks they crawl out from under. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting, chat? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how these people all rear their heads? So there you go, chat. You know what? I think Letitia James has a good point, though. They have to shut the fuck up. But this requiring logs and all of that, unless you're trying to get it for discovery purposes, is nonsense. And I agree. They're trying to say, well, it's off the record. Good luck proving I said it. Well, yeah. Brad says maintaining a log. Most do that every day. Yes. Yes. Yes, very true. So, that is the first part of this. Now we get to the second thing Letitia James filed. And guys, we're going to get to this here because this matters a lot. Once again, it's a motion to dismiss, and we see it as Attorney General Letitia James. Bitch, you ain't Attorney General in this case. You're just some bitch from New York who fucking scammed her mortgage. You're not Attorney General right now, bitch. This is fucking offensive that she would do this. But this is what she's doing. This is what she's doing. And I got to make it a darker green, chat, because I like... Why is it... Damn, this is not turning out the way I wanted it here. There we go. There we go, a darker green like that. So they're moving through Federal Criminal Rule 12B. You're like, oh, wow, it's like the civil rules. Yeah, 12B is 12. Federal Rule 12 covers dismissals. Now, they want to dismiss the indictment for some reasons here. It's similar to what's going on with Elena Haba up in New Jersey. Because the purported interim U.S. attorney has no authority to bring charges in this case. And they're saying her purported appointment was invalid under 28 U.S.C. 546 and a violation of the Appointments Clause of the United States Constitution. Now, isn't it funny? This is all the same shit Trump tried to do, but it's not going to work there. So we're going to move on here real quick, guys. They got table of contents, table of authorities. And, it's a table of authorities, a bunch of articles, things like that. They also cite the Anna Bauer article, which, fucking read it. It says, Anna, Lindsay Halligan here. It's fucking insane. It's absolutely fucking mental that bitch did this. And once again, she's the defendant, the Attorney General of New York. No, you're not. You're a fucking regular person. You're a pleb. Just like us, bitch. And they say, when the charges were brought by an individual who had no authority to litigate on behalf of the United States. They say her appointment violates the United States Code and the Appointments Clause. And then she does lack the power to present this case to the grand jury who signed this indictment, and she cannot continue to supervise. And the defects mandate dismissal of the indictment. First, the court lacks jurisdiction because no proper representative of the government had a role in obtaining the indictment. And it says if the court were to possess jurisdiction, an officer's actions are null and void if their appointment violates the Appointments Clause. And it's like, really, the 11th Circuit's like, yeah, that didn't count. That wasn't going to work with Jack Smith either. And third, this indictment would not have been sought or obtained absent her unlawful appointment. And these are flaws that cannot be brushed aside as harmless error. And true, if these were found to be true, you would have to dismiss it. And they talk about January 20th, the Senate confirmed the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Jessica Aber, resigned. One day later, Pam Bondi appointed Eric Siebert as interim pursuant. On May 6th, Trump submitted the nomination to the Senate. The interim appointment expired on May 21st, which is 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General. And that's how that works. At that time, the district court judges of Eastern District of Virginia exercised their appointment authority and unanimously decided to retain Siebert as interim U.S. Attorney. And that's what happens, chat. If there are some things wrong and you can't get appointed or you can't get a confirmation, the judges could do that. And I don't know how legal that is ultimately at the end of the day, but that is happening here. Yes, the Third Circuit's not keeping Haba on and they'll be appealing. Oh, I agree. And yeah, I think this is going to go to SCOTUS. I think it is. Remember, it's because the Orange Man's doing it, they're going to fight it. If this was Trump going through the Fourth Circuit, which is where Virginia is, they would have said, sorry, Orange Man, you're out of luck. Yes, Elena Haba, she was representing Trump in these cases, and now she's the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. And it says Siebert ultimately landed in Trump's crosshairs. He informed the DOJ there was insufficient evidence to charge her. I don't think there is. I think there's more than enough. His stance set off a push to remove him, and on September 19th, Trump stated he wanted him out, which he can do. You serve at the pleasure of the president. He told reporters he believed that Attorney General James was very guilty of something, and she is. An assessment that reportedly contradicted the views of both Siebert and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Well, Todd Blanche is still there, so it must not have been that bad for Blanche. On September 20th, Trump posted a statement on social media urging Pam Bondi to prosecute Letitia James, because remember, she's not Attorney General James, as well as former FBI Director James Comey, based, as should happen, and Senator Adam Schiff. Yes, they all should be prosecuted. And he goes through all of this. He says, justice must be served now. Okay. At that same evening, Trump spoke to reporters. I want people to act. They have to act. We have to act fast. Less than 48 hours later, they appointed Lindsay Halligan as the interim U.S. Attorney. And it provides that you may serve only until 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General. Now, this is where I don't think this is going to work here because an interim U.S. attorney may only serve until the expiration of 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General. Okay. Well, the purported appointment of Lindsay Halligan occurred 244 days after the invocation of 546. Since her purported appointment, Halligan has been the one handling this case, including the sole signatory on the indictment. And I think here this is going to be a little different. Yeah. And Luke is saying, yeah, there are hypocritical fuckfaces. That doesn't mean the correct decision is to deny this motion and dismiss, though. I think it is, though. Because they can appoint someone else. They just couldn't keep reappointing the same person. Remember, we went through this whole thing about how do the appointments work, and then that whole issue here. I think this is a valid appointment again. And even if it's not, they'll find somebody who they can install, and then they'll prosecute her. This isn't going to be a dismissal with prejudice. They'd be allowed to bring it back. So they talk about the appointments clause, and they say U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2. There are principal officers and inferior officers. There are Übermensch and Untermensch. Principal officers are appointed by the president and with the advice and consent of the Senate. There's also a default manner of appointment for inferior officers. Congress may authorize the president to appoint inferior officers without the advice and consent of the Senate. So, U.S. attorneys are inferior officers has been stated previously. Accordingly, they must be appointed by either the president with the advice and consent of the Senate or through a process Congress has properly authorized. So there's two ways. Since the first Congress, U.S. attorneys have been appointed through the default manner of appointment. Yes. And they say to minimize disruption by a prolonged vacancy, Congress has provided you can do a pathway to temporarily install without Senate confirmation. That's 28 U.S.C. 546. You could appoint where there's vacant, and that person may serve until the qualification of a U.S. attorney or the expiration of 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General. Now notice this right here, this after 120 days. Yeah, she was appointed. Like, it doesn't just say you can only do it once. And they say when an interim U.S. attorney appointment expires after 120 days, the district court for such district may appoint a U.S. attorney to serve until the vacancy is filled. Well, notice, when you break down number 2, it says, okay, well, when you get appointed, you have 120 days. It's not just 120 days after the opportunity for you to be appointed. Yeah, I think this matters more for Comey, but you know what? Once again, when a just ruled Comey should have to look under his car every fucking morning. But we'll see. And I think there might be ways they'll try to get Comey later. We'll see, though. And I agree. I think the way you read it is 120 days per each new appointment. It would have to be. Because let's say you get a guy who's appointed. After 120 days, the judges pick a guy, and they keep him. And think about this, Luke. They pick, we pick Donald Duck to be the U.S. attorney. Donald Duck dies. Does that mean I can't appoint another person as an interim U.S. attorney in the meantime? No, that would be fucking preposterous. So, yes, I would be able to appoint Mickey Mouse to be the new interim U.S. attorney, and I have another 120-day window to have him run as U.S. attorney. So, this idea that you can't keep redoing it is kind of fucking retarded by Letitia James. It wouldn't work. I don't see how it works at that point. And I'm not picking on you, it's just you're the person here talking. But I think that creates a problem. So, according to my former Fed boss, 120 days should reset. You work on government rape projects and rapeseed. Luke says they could keep dodging Senate confirmation indefinitely. They could. I mean, otherwise what? You have 120 days and that's it, and then you have to confirm someone or there's a rudderless office. I think that would be preposterous. But in the cotton fields, the cotton fields down in Louisiana. The durational limit of the appointment authority guarantees the role, and it's the exclusive means of appointing a U.S. attorney. In 2006, Congress removed the 120-day expiration date as part of the Patriot Act. A little more than a year later, Congress amended the statute to reinstate the 120-day limitation. And it says that there was Congress concerned about instances where the Attorney General made successive interim appointments of either the same or different individuals. And see, that's the thing. We're not talking about successive because there was already a U.S. attorney. He left, and now we have a vacancy again. But I agree. You can't just keep reappointing them. That would be wrong. And just cycling them through would be wrong as well. But if you can't get appointed, eventually you can't get appointed. So. And it says that the appointment is unlawful. Well, we'll see. Now, they say Section 546 affords a single 120-day period. That doesn't actually... Notice they say this here. There is no... Where is citation? Where is citation? There's no citation here. There's no citation here. Notice that. Chat, look here. You see this? There's no... But we'll get to it. They say the attorney, it's unambiguous. Is it really unambiguous? You're vested with 120 total days to appoint a U.S. attorney. And that clock starts running from the date the attorney first invokes it. Under that framework, the attorney may appoint an interim U.S. attorney that may serve for 120 days. But it doesn't, analyzing the framework reveals several flaws of the theory that the limit applies only on a per appointee basis. First, the government's reading requires the insertion of terms that are absent from the statute. Notice that they don't actually have any case law that supports this. This is them arguing about it. This is them arguing. They don't actually have anything backing them up. And this is probably where they're going to lose. I don't think this works for them. They have a big problem here. So, they say a person appointed may serve until the expiration of 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General. They say the time limitation is just benchmarked to the actions, not an individual's appointment. But it literally says it's based off of the Attorney General appointing you. So, not the appointment. That's exactly, but it says exactly what you're claiming. They're trying to refute it, and it doesn't work that way. And this could be a matter of first impression, Luke. But if that's the case, then they're on shaky fucking ground as well. So, they say the words do not appear in the statute, and the court cannot add words to the statute to achieve what the government thinks is a desirable result. It says, notice they say we ordinarily resist reading words in a statute that don't appear on its face. True, but you have to interpret what they mean. Now, they say if an appointment expires, the district court may appoint a U.S. attorney to serve until the vacancy is filled. But on the government's reading, there's also a second unwritten option. The Attorney General may appoint a new interim attorney. It doesn't say they can't. I mean, if we're saying the rules don't say that, the law doesn't say you can't do it. It doesn't. Notice, they're struggling just to go to statutory interpretation. And you see A. Scalia and B. Garner reading law. That is Antonin Scalia's son, who's also a law professor, and Brian Garner, who is a guru of legal writing and legal text. He's he writes for legal people, we have a citation thing called the Blue Book. He wrote the Red Book, which is a style manual. He's a big fucking deal. And it says if Congress had intended to provide an additional option, it would have just said so. Well, if it didn't want you to do it, it would have said so as well. This is very easy to refute here. Yeah. They literally, okay, so you guys are saying the Senate was never meant to impede appointees like this. Well, no, there was meant to be like check and balance. It's a check and a balance. I mean, they assumed that there would be times where there's going to be fights and like they wanted deadlock. So I agree. Luke is correct. There's no meanie bobini exception. Yeah, that is not the issue here. It's like, okay, well, the parties hate you. So the fuck what? That is something James Madison would have said, based. Alexander Hamilton would have said, based. I agree with you there. They would have said this is based. But the sole option wrote until the vacancy is filled. And once again, I don't think this is a correct assessment of it. The government's position is contrary to the context and structure. I don't think so. It's operationally unworkable. It just doesn't work. The statute's silence is not an accidental omission or a blank canvas. No, but if there's holes in the law, both sides can use that hole. When legislation and the Constitution brush up against each other, a court's to seek harmony, not to manufacture conflict. Yep. And the court's here would force judiciary to resolve an unnecessary conflict. I think it's a pretty obvious one that has to be resolved. And they say that Congress entirely removed the 120-day limit in the court's backstopping role. And initially they said a person appointed may serve until the qualification of a U.S. attorney. Okay. And they say this switch was short-lived. They say it created a possible loophole which could permit U.S. attorneys appointed on an interim basis to serve indefinitely without Senate confirmation. Well, yes, a person could then serve indefinitely without Senate confirmation. Not every 4 months we switch out, so we go through 3 a year. That sounds pretty fucking reasonable to me. Well, yes, there's a recess appointment issue, Tim. That's a whole other thing as well. But we're not at a recess appointment here. Tech Guy says both sides can use that hole. I don't think this is a good argument. The other motion was very well done. I think they're correct. This one is not correct, though. This one is not correct. So they say the government's interpretation would give no effect to the 2007 amendment. No, it wouldn't. It would still be effective. 120 days. It's very easy to see what they're doing here. And it says, reading Section 546 to enable the Attorney General to string together an infinite number of interim U.S. attorney appointments without time limitations. There aren't time limitations. 120 days would fully extinguish the advice and consent role of the U.S. attorneys. There would be little incentive to ever undertake the arduous process of confirmation. No, there is, because you can only get one 120-day period per person. After that, you're done. You're going to burn, think about it. There are 93 U.S. districts out there. That means there's 93 U.S. attorneys. 93 U.S. attorneys times 3 every year. You're going to burn through people very fast. You're going to burn through 300 attorneys every year that you actively have to stay up on. No, there is a massive reason to encourage them to work with the Senate. But if the administration's that retarded, yeah, I guess. This is just bullshit. They say it's also contrary to executive branch's historical understanding. They said just 3 days after Congress enacted the law, OLC issued a DOJ opinion, authored by then Deputy Assistant Attorney General Samuel Alito, interpreting the provision in a manner that contradicts the government's position. They concluded that while the vacancy period expires under the amended section, the president has either not made an appointment or the appointment has not been confirmed, it does not follow the attorney general may make another appointment. So notice, it's just an advisory opinion. That actually doesn't mean shit after the 120-day period. Then Deputy Assistant Alito reasoned it discloses a congressional purpose that after the 120-day period, further interim appointments are made by the court rather than the attorney general. I think that's a separation of powers issue. The court should not be making those. I don't think that's constitutional. The court should not be picking the executive branch. I think this is a separation of powers issue. And then we get to Loper Bright, which is the case that destroyed Chevron deference. And the only district court to confront the government's theory resoundingly rejected it. Okay, so yes, one district court. Remember, chat, there are 93 district courts, 677 district court judges. So 1 out of 677. Wow, that's a fucking thing there. Yeah. So they point out that the appointment occurred without authorization. It violates the Appointments Clause. And since she wasn't appointed properly, well, by law, yes, then she is now there. And they say the appointment warrants dismissal of the indictment and an injunction barring her from continuing to perform her duties as interim U.S. attorney. They want dismissal for 3 reasons. The court lacks jurisdiction, and that's, yeah, if the government didn't have authorities there. If the court even had that, officers' actions are null and void if they are not appointed properly. And third, the indictment would not have been sought or obtained the unlawful appointment. So they do want dismissal. I don't think they're going to get it. Or they shouldn't be allowed to get it. And they just go through, and once again, they're kind of recircling through things we've dealt with here, guys. They say whether an individual is not accompanied by a proper representative of the government at all times, a court lacks jurisdiction and must dismiss the indictment. And they say unless the government provides evidence that Halligan was not acting alone in presenting the case to the grand jury, the court must dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. And they say there's no evidence that any other governmental attorney had played a role in securing the indictment. The court must dismiss for lack of jurisdiction at that point. And if the court even possesses jurisdiction, it violated the Appointments Clause. Once again, they're restating things here, chat, but that makes you keep restating the arguments. This is not unduly repetitive. And they point out if you want to try, it's harmless. Before you can claim it's held harmless and harmless error, the court must occur a belief that it was harmless beyond a reasonable doubt. And they're pointing out that but for the improper appointment, there would not have ever been an indictment. And they say that they want to enjoin her, which, these fucking district court judges, when they hear the word enjoin, their boner goes boing, 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 boing at this point. And they want her to keep from going there. And this is, once again, submitted by Abe Lowell. Yeah. So, there we go. Did we get the best co-host Clyde on? No, he's hanging out with 2.0 right now. Let me see here. So, Job well done saying there's something funny going on. He has lawyers willing to volunteer if the judge is being extremely restrictive, per Jimmy Dore. That doesn't matter. If the DOJ sends somebody down, he can't deny them. And Luke, you're saying if it's a matter of first impression, then the other persons who had the chance to adjudicate it agreeing with you is still pretty good. I mean, 1 out of 600 that's not really inspiring, though. It's persuasive, but it's not binding. Grand Slam Toronto, 9-2. Goddamn Canadians stealing our sports. Oh. Absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit, chat. Oh. So let's see here. We got to catch up on some things here, chat. But yeah, that's where, like I said, one of these she's going to win on. This one here we just did, she shouldn't win on. But she should win on the first one. I agree. They fucked up. You shouldn't be allowed to do all the things she did and talk to all the reporters that happened. That's not fair. Jabal Dunn says, oh, we're talking about Sublime here. Garrett says, I'll tolerate Sublime if they're covering the Descendants. Jabal Dunn says, you smoke 2 joints in the morning. You can smoke 2 joints at night. You smoke 2 joints in the afternoon. It'll make you feel all right. And Johan says, I hate when people play anything by Sublime at a bar. We get it. Weed is your entire personality. I don't know how, you don't like Santeria, man? That is a good song. I love that song. Tech Guy South says, yes, the Chumbawamba guys were anarchists. Really? I didn't know this. Hold on here. Chumbawamba anarchists. Okay, so yes, they had a band, they had an album called Anarchy. And they were an anarcho-punk band? Wow. Okay, I did not know that. Check this out, chat. Oh, actually, I can't show that because I forgot their album covers a baby coming out of a vagina. So, but yes, they were an anarcho-punk band. Wow. Wow. Okay, interesting. Interesting. That is, Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. Huh. Oh, and the Wikipedia cites to a bunch of Jacobin articles. It's like, okay, they really are commies. They really are commies. Tech Guy South says, yeah, but these were white people. This is a strong black woman. Well, I guess there. One old guy's opinions for $20. Good to see you, man. Says, I'm telling you, these dumb assocrats being indicted will be so arrogantly stupid they will say something in court and filings in a press conference or in passing questions they will cook themselves. Just watch and listen. I don't know. I will say the DOJ is scoring a lot of fucking own goals right now. You might be more optimistic than me. But the DOJ people are obsessed with trying. It's kind of like Brendan Carr from the FCC. He was so obsessed with wanting to jump in there and dab, come in and Jimmy Kimmel got fired. He wanted to dab on it too. And guess what? That fucking gave Jimmy Kimmel a new breath of life. From your lips to God's ears. That's all I can say. But thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. One old guy's opinion saying, then he says, yes, Democrat, DOJ, FBI, and others are exempt from many of those rules. Let's just be real. We have seen this in all of Trump's cases. Yes, I agree. Yep. They can do whatever the fuck they want. The rules don't apply. It's like, whose line is it anyway? Where we all compete for points and the points don't matter. Very, very true. Thank you again for that one. And Luke says the DOJ just doesn't know how to shut up and will bite him in the ass, probably Luigi. Yeah, the Luigi case is really going to get fucked up. Is he going to walk? No. But some of the death penalty and stuff is probably off the table. He's probably going to skate on that. But that is a problem here. And yes, it says funny, these rules are enforced when Trump is president. But when a Dem is president, what rules? There are no rules. I agree. But that's how good these scumbags are at doing stuff. They're able to weasel around and be weasels. Just being weasels. Yes, Toronto's destroying Les Dodgers. Oh, no. So... Oh, you're saying, by the way, the judge handling this case punted the Fourth Circuit Chief Judge to pick a different judge to hear this case. Yes. There's a judge being assigned to hear this. That's not him. Yes, and Comey's motion to dismiss. Yes. Yep. Yeah, there's going to be some things here. Should we allow anarcho-punk bands? I mean, why not? No, best known for a drinking song, but that's okay. Anarchists can drink. You told you so. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Steve Lato used to write for Jacobin? No, he did not. No, he did not. No, he did not, really. Yeah. Yeah, there's not, like, even Google's saying there's nothing here right away that shows him being affiliated with, yeah, I don't see where he's affiliated with Jacobin at all. I don't know where that comes from. Is anyone in the Blue Jays actually Canadian? Yeah. Okay, Jalopnik, yes, Jalopnik is one thing. Jalopnik is not Jalopnik. You have Jalopnik and you have Jacobin. Those are really two different, like, no, they're not even like, no, do not confuse those two. Don't confuse those two. Oh. Yeah, Vladimir Guerrero is Canadian, yes. But he talks about it all the time. You mean Jalopnik? That's different. That's a car magazine. Not fucking Jacobin. Jacobin's a fucking communist magazine. Yes, Jacobite supremacy. Yes, Jalopnik is pretty commie. I mean, let's be real. I mean, yeah, but at one point it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad. But it's kind of like Kotaku. It wasn't all fucked up. At some point it was good. At some point it was good. Okay, my bad. No, I'm just saying, like, we got to be careful. Like, you know, if I'm throwing people out of the helicopter, I trust you guys to give me good information at, like, when I'm shoving them out the door, you know, and saying, like, yeet! Or you take them and you're like, Kobe! And you're throwing them out the helicopter. I got to be having the right information, guys. I have to rely on you. I have to rely on you. You know, I don't want to Kobe somebody out the window. Did I hear about the lady that ran over someone and blames her high heels? Alan Jackson's going to represent her? No, but there is the guy, the Stanford kid, who got into that accident where he killed 4 people. We're going to start looking into that because that looks like an interesting case to get into here. Adriana Jacobs, she sent me some links to some of the court documents on that, so we're going to look at that coming up here. Never trust YouTube chat. Yeah. Mexican Vader says, yes, do a flip! Do a flip, Tovarish! Clippy's like, that guy wasn't a communist, he just worked at Wendy's. I'm like, oops. Oops, sorry. You know, you plane down a piece of, you sit there planing down a piece of wood, a few chips go flying. So, Ohtani home run, well, there you go. You can't unthrow them. Yeah, but it's kind of like the Salem witch trials. If you escape, then you're a witch. If you die, well, you were a noble anti-communist, and we thank you for your sacrifice. All right, chat. I think that is it for now. I think that's it for now. Tomorrow night, we're going to do some trains. We'll do some trains. I got to get up early tomorrow. I am actually going to do another mock court competition. I get to go judge it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go do that. I did one earlier this year, and I told you guys it was so much fun. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's like there's an AMTALA mock trial tournament in Cleveland tomorrow, so I'm going to go do that. Should be fun. Got to be there like 8 o'clock in the morning, though, and it's like... ugh. So, you know, like, I got to do everything I'm going to do tomorrow morning, but also be, like, parked and inside the building at 8 a.m. So it's like I got to go find traffic and everything and go steal a parking spot. It's going to be great. Did I ever see the Amazon Prime show about the fake trial? Yeah, Jury Duty. Yes, 2.0 and I watched it. And I think, I don't know if I could do a review of it or a reaction to it without getting copyrighted. But yeah, it was hilarious. Like, everybody in the thing except for the one guy didn't realize it was like everybody else was in on it except the one dude. But that was run like a real trial, dude. That's like how real trials go. I thought it was hilariously done. The only time I'll ever be a judge, and that's fine. That's fine. Kathy, your realtor living in New Jersey. Guys, remember, if you're in New Jersey or you're coming to New Jersey or you're doing anything in New Jersey, buy, sell, lease, rent, whatever it is you're doing, Kathy is your realtor. Get a hold of her. She'll help you out. It says, is it constitutional to implement Sharia law? Could this happen in New York City? So the way this happens is, and I talked with Joe about this before, Joe Neerman. When you are in certain ethnic groups, you can agree to, like there are Jewish courts that operate. And it's not like an official court, but it's like an arbitrator. So like there's a rabbi who's probably like an attorney usually, and they're trained to operate, and you can submit to arbitration. So when you hear about like people being forced to go do something in a Sharia court, if Muslim businessmen may agree that we have like the laws there, but internally our arbitration will be done by a Muslim. We'll submit to binding arbitration through a Muslim court. Now, the idea that there's going to be like Sharia police running around and stuff like that, no, that ain't happening. But you can submit to like, contract disputes and things like that in advance, and courts will uphold that. It's saying like, you guys agreed to arbitration, there, go arbitrate. And then if that doesn't work, you may come back into a regular court. But that stuff can happen that way. Yeah, it's like Judge Muhammad that way, yes. And yes, she is in New Jersey, but like chat, like New Jersey is like right next to New York City. Like there's a river between them, and that's it. Not happening yet. NIC will ignore the Sharia parts. Yes, we'll ignore the Sharia patrols probably. P-Dub says I've never been to Lakewood. Like Lakewood's full of homos. Why would I go there? Yes, Kathy, cash in with all the New York City people coming to buy houses. Get those commissions, Kathy. The Shamrim patrols are things too. Yes, and those guys have gotten in a lot of trouble. Yes, the Shamrim are like the Jewish enforcer police who have gotten in a lot of trouble over the decades for kind of keeping community standards. But ultimately, though, those guys get cracked down on. So, as long as they don't bring their crazy with them, yeah. Yeah. You could smell New Jersey from New York. You could smell New York from New Jersey. I mean, when I went for my grandma's funeral in Brooklyn, oh, buddy, man, you put your window down. Fuck. It was smell. Tim Pool's right. Like, New York City smells like fucking, like, milk that sits out. Fucking nasty. Fucking nasty. So, it's a thing. But with that said, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. And we will get to some things tomorrow. I know the casino's running full speed. I'm sure they're going to cover what's going on with Nick and Aaron. Yes, guys, the HRO is still ongoing. 3 days of evidence now they're going into. It blows my fucking mind this has gone on this long. Really does. It really, really makes me confused what's going on there. I've never heard of this ever happening. This is just ridiculous. So, Kathy says, well, thank you. Well, thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Mon Reza says, they're blue, Sean! Yes. What is the HRO? The harassment restraining order. Is the casino on tonight? Yes, they are. It's still not a loss for the toe? Not yet. Clippy says, have fun at your law nerd thing tomorrow. Well, thank you. I plan on having a lot of fucking fun. Thank you very much. Keopath says, you were wrong again, Sean! So much for being a practicing attorney. Well, it's still not over yet. But yes, I was wrong again. I think we're all wrong. We're all wrong on this one. Yeah, it's not a win for the toe yet either. Do I have to bring a black robe? No. No, I don't have to. I don't have to use the robe and the wig that I wore for the dented zone. No, we don't bring a robe, guys. Come on, like, you guys are ridiculous. They're still going through. They're going through Ralph's pill stream tonight, still, guys. So Ralph had a monster pill stream recently. But anyways, kick.com/Kino Casino Gaming. I'll be wearing a smoking jacket, though. No, I'm just going to wear slacks and a shirt. I mean, it's going to be very relaxed. So, how many ethics complaints are going to be filed by tomorrow? We need a robe and a wig for 50K subs. Well, Kathy, we got to get there. So, that's the thing. It'd be nice if we got to that point. Maybe, one day we'll get there. Let's just get to 27K first. We still can't get there. That's my problem. We got to get to 27K. We're hovering at 26.9K. We need to get to 27. So chat, good night. I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Unless you're Letitia James, you're guilty as fuck. And you're also, if you're U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, you're fucking retarded for talking to reporters. Don't talk to the press. It's 26.8 now? Oh, god damn it. What's it at? Son of a bitch. Hold on here, chat. We're going to check. Hold on. We are at 26,897. Damn it. Joe says, thank you, Sean, for keeping this LA loser company. Guys, we're all kings here. That is the beauty of it. We are America. Each man is a king. Like Man of War says, let freedom ring and let every man be king. To live as one through the years. Eric says, I keep missing streams. I'm sorry about that. And then Natasha with 5 subs. Natasha ending it on a strong note there. So, yes. Joe is losing by 7. Yeah, sorry, LA people. But guys, enjoy yourselves tonight. If there happens to be like any rioting in the last minute, we might go live again, but I think it's going to be quiet tonight. So, yeah. That album is the most autistic Man of War ever put out. Well, yeah, because it was like all after the aftermath of 9/11, the Warriors of the World. That was a dope album. So, yeah. So, anyways, chat, I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. And, I already did this, so we're all set. I already did it. I did it. I had to double check myself and catch it. I had to catch it. Did I do this? And I'm like, I did. So, good night, chat. Take care.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why, yes it was, he even knows he's fat. For all this fun and more, there's one place to go. Here on Sean Martin's Potentially Criminal Show.
You guys left that. You got NIG, and then you left that tower hanging. Chat. I'm very disappointed in you. That's so sad. It was like a partially completed tower. You guys didn't even try. Gonna make Clyde sad. Clyde's gonna be so sad. So is Bon Bon. Good night, chat. Good night.